waves of this. Today, we are going to talk about value pricing. So I sit down with somebody I have known for some time, all the way from the Americas, David Gomez, a true authority on value selling, a best-selling author of 7 books, and a speaker who's delivered over 1,000 presentations across 5 continents. From his days at Coca-Cola and DuPont to his global influence through the NGO Virtual Voices, David brings not just knowledge, but clarity, conviction, and strategy for any organization who tries the price wars. So let's dive into what David has to tell about the importance of concentrating on value rather than price. Welcome to the show, David.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
David, just before we start with your subject and everything for our viewers' benefit, please give a small intro about yourself, what you are doing currently, and how this journey began, and what it took for you to come up to where you are now.
Well, yes, as many things in life, you just end up doing things that you didn't expect. I worked for 15 years in corporate at different companies in marketing and sales positions, and in 2009, I just changed track and started my own career. I started working with small businesses, doing some coaching and consulting. And throughout the years, I really found a passion of helping companies really thrive. And I just noticed that price is one of those elements, one of those variables that many companies do not take into consideration much, just helping them to be different, to just provide a different solution to the market was the way to go. So I've been doing that for the past 16 years. I am originally from Colombia in South America, and I am now living in Houston, Texas.
Wonderful introduction. And what ignited you actually for this transition from your corporate to working for yourself?
It was very simple. I was laid off. And then while I was looking for a job, I just started doing some things, just helping companies and doing consultancy. And I just found that path more rewarding. And after a few months, I just decided not to go or not to look for any other job, that I was going to do that for the rest of my life. And that's what I've been doing. You know, sometimes you just need to be pushed to make a decision.
Yeah, maybe that is the universe's way of pushing you to actually to get into your right path. Yeah.
And that's I was not ready to retire yet.
Yes, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, David, your core philosophy is stop competing on price. Can you elaborate on why actually you believe the problem isn't just changing the charging more, or rather the customers don't understand the value, and how businesses can actually bring a shift to this perception?
I think, yes, that price is a relative perception of value. So you sell something, doesn't matter the price. And I'm not saying that you should, set a higher price for the sake of it. Just what I love is that companies can really take that value, the value they provide and the things they do at a fair price. Because usually there are other competitors at lower prices. And if you don't manage profitably your prices, you will be in trouble. So one of the ways I found that companies compete on price is because clients do not perceive a difference. And if they don't perceive a difference, they will decide based on price. But the problem is not the price, but that they don't perceive a difference. So the key element here is, how do you differentiate? What can you solve that others don't, that is relevant to your clients? And then in that sweet spot lies really your key differentiator and the reason you're going to use to justify why you cost what you do. So in the end, it's just being able to transfer that value, that perception of value to your clients and customers so they can notice why are you a better option instead of others.
You beautifully explained it. David, just for our listeners, I think this is something many people get it wrong. Actually, sometimes when we talk about quality or when we talk about value, the producers or the service providers look it from their perspective. How important, you mentioned that actually we have to look it from the customer's perspective. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. It is very, very simple, yes.
Yeah.
It's what people pay.
Mm-hmm.
Value is what they receive in return.
Yeah.
And what they receive is not only a service, not only a product, it is everything surrounding that product or service, which is called value proposition. You have heard of that, right? So a value proposition is just a sum of different benefits that the client or customer receives when buying from you. And not only includes the product itself, as we were discussing, but also your reputation, the after sale service, the how guarantees, logistics, or any other thing that might be important to you, maintenance or whatever. The higher the perception, or the stronger, more robust the perception of what they are getting in return for their investment, that's the equation that they are having a good deal. Because for what I'm paying, I'm getting a lot of things, some of them tangible, some of them not. But in the end, is that what we need to understand, that it's not what we sell, but it is what they buy in the end that just sets the price value perception.
So what you're saying is the value is always in their perspective, in the customer's perspective, what they receive.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. I mean, you provide some things that they create value to your customers, but in the end, they are the ones that really will tell you if those things are valuable or not. And how will they tell you? They will pay the price or not. So in the end, if they perceive that it's worth it, they will. But if they don't think that, they will not.
David, you have worked with over 450 organizations, as far as I know, and from different industries, so from finance to healthcare to many, many industries. What is the main misconception which people encounter regarding value selling all industries, what you see, and how do you address?
I think that the most common misunderstanding is not really knowing your competition. It's not really understanding that usually you're not as different as you think. Because every time I work with a company, I always start asking them why your client should choose you instead of others. What makes you different? And sometimes what we think that makes us different is not that different at all. Because other companies, other service providers, other options are also doing a good job. But usually companies do not do the work of really understanding and doing deep research on the value proposition of their competitors. So they end up just offering things that they think are different, but in the eyes of the customers, they are not different at all, because other options are offering the same thing. So I would say that the main challenge companies face is just really understanding that being different is harder and harder. It's getting harder every time, because competitors are also improving and are just offering better things, and just being aware of that and looking for different ways of differentiation. Yes, I think that usually companies focus on the product itself as it were the only way to differentiate. And I would tell you that everyday products are very similar in the market. You have other competitors that are also offering very good things. So usually, in my experience, the key differentiators are not in the product itself or the service itself, but in the surroundings and all the elements that they just complement the main offer that you are giving to the market. So that's a great opportunity for so many companies, just understanding that having a good quality product or service is just the entry price you pay to competitive in any market. But beyond that, you need to create other elements that can really set you apart. And in that case, the customer experience, for example, is one of the strongest ways to really build that differentiation.
Yeah, it is rightly said. And also sometimes when we look only from our perspectives, sometimes people concentrate on the features of the product as the differentiator. And I think that is where most of the people will come. If it is a physical product, whether it is packaging or whether it is the shape of it, the taste of it. So they try to make this differentiation. But you mentioned that sometimes it might not be only on the product itself. The differentiation can come from some other areas. Can you give some examples of that?
Let's say you sell medical devices, for example, equipments, right? And one of the key elements of that product is training, ongoing training. for the people that is going to handle that equipment, for example.
Yeah.
The product could be wonderful, amazing, latest technology, but unless you really have a post-sale service that can help you take advantage of every feature, every function, how to really use it properly, and how to train the people that are going to handle that equipment in the long run. And if they change in the future, you will be able to train the new people and so on. So in that case, for example, the product itself is okay. I mean, it works, but it is very important training. In other cases, let's say you sell machines for the industry, manufacturing industry, and the technical assistance that you provide, or if you sell fertilizers, for example, in agriculture, and you are training about the benefits, not only the product itself, but how to use it, the best way to handle it. Just technical assistance, for example, is very important in many industries. It's not only the product, but also how you can handle the product. And if something goes wrong, who's going to be behind you? Who's going to support you? Who's going to be really taking care of you in the future? Thinking about relationships instead of transactions is one of the ways that you add a lot of value to the customers beyond the product itself.
Yeah. So it can be after sales service. It can be for example, here in Modis, our main industry is the hospitality industry. So
the logistics, the ability you have to deliver the product.
But in hospitality, most of the times the value is, I think, created at the delivery of the service itself, right? Yeah. So we have to think about how we can differentiate in the delivery process itself, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have always said that we need to answer three questions.
What's that?
Why you? Who cares?
Yeah.
How will they know about you? In other words, the first question you should ask yourself is why the customer should pick me instead of others? Why me? I mean, there are other options, right? So why me? What's that main reason? And we can discuss that a little bit later, the difference between the features and the benefit differentiators. But that's one question. Why you, which is your differentiator, right? Second, who cares? Meaning not everyone is a prospect. And one thing, companies fight so hard is just really understanding that they have to focus on a specific type of client that really appreciates the value they provide. Because not everybody will be willing to pay for what they're offering. They don't have the problem they solve. So not everyone is a prospect. Understanding that will really narrow your focus on who you should be attending. And the last question is, how will they know? Meaning, how would you be visible? How are you going to be available for them? How are you going to communicate what you offer? So letting people know that you solve something in a different way than others could be the first step.
So it is a matter of trying to make the difference in the delivery itself, right? So you also mentioned is how do they know? This is very important, right? It is about the communication or the PR or the advertisement. What is it really?
Yeah, I think that communication plays a huge role because many companies can have a strong differentiator, a strong reason to give customers, a reason to buy or just to decide. But sometimes the communication is not clear enough. It's not really addressing the main differentiator. Sometimes it is generic, like, your best partner, the best solution, or something like that. But usually the customer doesn't understand why they should pick you instead of others because you are always selling the same thing. So the more specific your communication is, the better the customer will understand why you instead of others. So I think that first you need to have a differentiator, but of course, second, you need to communicate it in a very impactful way so people can really understand.
Yeah. David, you have been publishing many articles as well, I think, and then you have published so many books. You are really a prolific writer, I would say. How do you continuously generate these fresh ideas and practical advice to your audience and the ongoing field experience plays in this? Because I'm also into this, so I just want to learn from you about this one. Yeah.
Usually, yes, it's talking to people, being in the trenches. I love being in the market, talking to salespeople, talking to business owners, any employee that I just encounter, any restaurant, airport, or hotel or whatever I am. And through my social networks, sometimes people just recommend me, I just saw this, you should find out what this is about. So I'm always like aware of my surroundings and trying to find beautiful stories that can just have a lesson to someone. And that's very interesting because I think that everything you see has a lesson that you can learn. What I do is that I just try to apply. Let's see that I'm just talking to a clerk and that person is extremely, agreeable and is a very kind person, and the way that person is talking to me or something. So I can just make an analysis or just try to get a lesson from that. Just let people know that you could do something similar, or if I see a special packaging, or if I see a special sign or something. I'm just trying to always learn from the people that are doing the things that really matter. So I think that theories are just the compilation of many real life experiences and not the other way. But yes, just being aware of your surroundings and just trying to see the magic behind every interaction and what lesson you can see there.
This is a beautiful way of actually learning what is happening and keeping yourself updated, isn't it? A lot of leaders are not connected to the ground level or the grassroots level, right? So I think this is a beautiful way of. So what do you do when you meet these people? How? Because I don't know if all the people are very comfortable in speaking up first time when you meet them, because sometimes even in the condo which I live, I sometimes meet people, and when I say hello, they just might say hello. That's it. But it is sometimes difficult to start a conversation. So how do you start these conversations with the strangers, especially those who are everyday folks?
Observing and just noticing what they're doing, what they're saying, and sometimes just going back to just what they said. I remember an experience with a cab driver that actually inspired me to write a book, which is Business Parable. And it was based on the experience I was having in that cab. I just entered the cab and that person was offering me a lot of amenities like do you need Wi-Fi? Do you need a charger for your phone? Here I have magazines and a lot of things. He was very kind and he was public service.
So basically, he was different from other cabs.
Yeah. So I just started asking him. I say, "How did you come with all these things? Why do you do that?" And he started telling me that it was because of his family. That sometimes, and they recommended him a lot of things, and that he was just watching some of his peers that were not providing a good service, and he just named himself as 5-star cab driver.
Okay.
So he created kind of this environment of being a 5-star cab driver, and he just told me about his purpose, why he does what he do. So those encounters, and when you see people doing something different and you ask about that, you can be sure that they have been thinking about that for so long that they would love to share it with you. For example, if I find a person who's smiling a lot, and I always say, thank you for smiling. It's not common. You are doing a great job and improving my day. So that person feels, recognized, and start a conversation about that. So it's not just getting into the moment without any context, but it's basically about something they are doing or you are doing, or about something in the surrounding, or if you're in a line and you comment about something, and you can see if the person really comes back with an answer and is engaged in the conversation, you can continue just talking and learning.
What are you feeling when this particular moment in the cab happened? Because I remember, reading a book called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara, right? And that is also about creating moments like this, which was not actually going beyond actually than what was expected by you, right? So, you must have come across also the uplifting service by our good friend Ron Kaufman. So this is how did you feel when his service has actually uplifted you?
You feel that you're being taken care of. It's like someone is really concerned about the experience and not only the service itself. That again, in the case of the cab, it's not only about just transporting you, or just moving from point A to point B, but the process itself. How do you do that? It's not only getting you there, but in the way you get there. So it just makes me feel that that person is really considering something beyond expectations, and that it's not only looking for a way to solve the, in this case, the transportation problem or something, but is trying to create an experience. And I think that is what makes a difference. Just considering everything we do as an experience, and not only an exchange of a product or service for some money, but really people feel better with what you do.
Yeah. So did you feel that you got more than the value you paid for because of that experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, he is one of my best cases when I have to point out that service is one of the strongest differentiators. So when I am talking to salespeople, for example, yes, and they sell a commodity product, or a type of product that is very common, and they compete on price, and they have a lot of competitors and blah, blah, blah. I always tell them, even if what you sell is exactly the same product that your competitors are selling, you are the main differentiator. You can make a difference. So it's not only about what you sell, but how you sell it and who sells that. So I am a strong believer that having an attitude of service, smiling, just making the customer feel important, noticed, make a difference. Definitely. So we can always be different. Even if what you sell is not different, it's not different at all, you are different. You can be different.
Yeah. I think even as a professional speaker, you also try to make that difference. And I have personally experienced that at the Global Speakers Summit in Bali last year. That is where we met for the first time. Yeah. So what was that idea? Even I was like, taken by surprise, when you with that big entry to the audience and with all these guns and the stories and the costumes. And so how you came up with that idea?
Just for the audience to understand a little bit of the context, I use a costume in a specific part of my keynote, which is around 3-4 minutes. And I use that costume just to represent the concept I'm trying people to understand and to really remember. And I have found that linking that message to something visual, which is unexpected, will make the concept last longer, because they will connect. In this case was, you need to defend your value like a warrior. Defend your value. And then the costume of a Roman warrior. And then that connection, which is very funny actually for the people, they will connect, the sword and the shield and defending your value. So that creates really an anchor of that concept. So that's the reason why I do it, because I learned that the way you tell things, the way you really communicate a message is usually more important than the message itself, because people know what they have to do. People know strategies. People know a lot of things. We read a lot of books and we are exposed to a lot of information, but the way we get that information makes the difference if you are going to remember that and do something about it or not. So in that case, how I started using a costume, it was a process. In the beginning, I was not using anything at all, actually, because I was just trying to be more professional, like the typical attire with a jacket and navy
suit and
just that it's very boring, and it's not my personality at all. So I've been there in the audience many times, and we know that being in the audience with a speaker that is not entertaining or energetic is not good. So I just started improvising, experimenting with sounds. I just played like this sound of a but it was invisible at that moment. And people started to smiling a little bit, saying, we got something here. And then I just used a plastic sword the next time, and people just leaned in and say, oh, that's nice. And next time I just was walking through those Halloween stores, and I just saw a Roman warrior costume, very basic at the time. And I used it in front of 3,000 people in Ecuador for the first time. And I thought, this could be the end of my career or the beginning of something wonderful.
Something great.
It was something great. Actually, people loved it, because especially in the corporate world, where you think that we are very,
professional.
Yeah, rigid and not have fun. And I have found is that we all want to have fun one way or another, especially in corporate, especially in a business environment. So time after time, I just kept improving that. I now work with a theatrical designer that helps me just improve the costume. I don't use it all the time, depending on the audience and the event that I'm speaking at. But as a general rule, just providing a different experience just makes you more memorable. People will remember the message, which is in the end the main point, that they remember and do something about it if they really connect with that. And yeah, that's why I started doing that, and I really enjoy it. I mean,
yeah, and I think it's also not only about the message or something like that, because people will also remember you, right?
Yeah.
Even if they forget their name, they will still remember, oh, that guy with the own warrior costume.
I mean,
yeah,
remember you.
yeah,
That could be a good thing or a bad thing, but
yeah,
definitely they will remember you.
they will remember. Right? So basically, even in any business, you are saying we can use this kind of like anchors, right, for customer experience. I consider that is like a brain anchor, where it is a mental anchor, where we can at any time go back and relate and retrieve the message. It is like a picture you put on a computer folder, a database. So when you saw that folder, you immediately recall, okay, what is there inside? So similarly, in our mind, we have that picture of you, then your message inside.
Absolutely. And you know, I mean, once again, the message, of course, is important, but maybe it's not new at all, right?
Yeah.
In this world, there are a lot of people talking a lot of different topics. But the way you make people feel, the way you present, maybe an old concept that's just refurbished, reframed, so they can really see it from a different perspective, just make that click that will make them do something about it. If you're a speaker, you are a performer. If people are in front of you and they took the time to be there, you got to do something different. It's not only a concept. I always say, I'm not here just to tell you the content of my books. You can read them. It's cheaper. I'm here for you to understand and transform your life in the way I'm going to present those concepts to you. And if you can just achieve that, you know, the job is done. So I think that especially for professional speakers like you and me, we need to perform. And perform is not only about using a costume, because I understand that not everyone will be.
Yeah, that can be a way extreme, right? Yeah.
But
we had even recently when we attended the APSS, we had few people wearing the national dress, some people wearing the wedding dress, so you can, that is a bit extreme of, but still it delivers the message, right? And I think for the benefit of our listeners, what you mentioned just now was actually the message of your presentation back in Bali, right? As speakers making a difference and being a performer on the stage. So that was the point you were trying to make out of your theoretical. Yeah.
So the point is that you need to do something different, even if it's your gestures, your expressions, the examples you use, the stories you tell, the way you address to people. How do you manage the message? Just be there for them and be yourself. I definitely believe that the greatest asset that anyone can have is being original, authentic, just being our true self. I think that that's the thing that really connects with the audience and anyone that you really want to help or just to have a conversation with.
Great. David, you also published a book called Happily Ever After. Have you published it or in the process?
Yeah, it is. It is published in Spanish.
Okay.
It is in the process of being published in English, but it was published in Spanish a couple of years ago.
All right. So I think this book is about turning your customers into like your promoters or loyal fans or something like that. Can you elaborate a little bit on the context of this book?
Yeah, it is basically about just switching from transactions to relationships. I think that most companies and salespeople focus on selling, just the act of selling, but do not take care much after that. And really, the relationship when you make a sale is just starting. And if you don't see it that way, your client or your customer would not buy again. And what you want is that you made all the effort to really make someone to pick you, to choose you, to buy from you. So now you need, or you have to maintain that relationship in the long run. So when I wrote Happily Ever After, I was thinking about that, not about the sale, but how people can keep coming and referring your business and just continue growing in the long run, just understanding different ways to help your customer and just see every sale not as a single sale, but as the first of 100. So in that sense, I just researched a lot of companies trying to understand what they did to really maintain the loyalty of their customers. And there were like two basic elements, I would say. First, just providing results. What you said must provide results for the expected outcome that your customers are buying for. And second, building relationships, meaning not only seeing it as a transaction, but also as a relationship. How can I help even after the sale? Because in many industries, when you sell, you gain a commission and no more. So you don't have any interest of continuing the relationship. But if you do, even if you're not getting an instant reward, you will gain referrals, for example. You can gain a customer for life. So I always say, don't sell because of a commission, but because of gaining a customer for life. That's more profitable after all. So that's the main message. And in that connection between sellers and buyers, the salesperson is really the connector, is really the link that make things happen. So it is basically about that. How can we focus more on the after sale part of the sales process instead of just how to sell? So that's the difference with other sales books, which is not only about techniques or something to sell, but to gain the customer after the sale.
I think this, because a lot of our audience is also from Maldives and the hospitality industry. They would know that, Maldives is one of the countries known as having the highest number of repeater tourists. Almost about 30% of our yearly arrivals are repeaters. And I have personally met people who have come over the last 30, 40 years for 20, 25 times. So some people are coming twice a year, even from Europe. So, So it's, I think that even when we reflect back on the success of Maldives tourism, your point is very valid, because when we serve our customers, we don't serve thinking that he's come, he's paid the price, we give him the basic service and that's it. Our relationship is over. And not like that. Actually, we create a real family kind of bonding. We treat them like a distant relative who has not been to our local island for a long time, has visited, and that's how we would treat. This is actually where the origin of Maldives hospitality as well. So I think that's the reason people keeps on coming back. And you are very right. And when we are serving, we have to ensure that, or when we are selling something, we have to satisfy the customer a little bit more than just giving the basic expected service or something like that, right? And also, so what is the theory, or what is the psychological reason behind that bonding, establishing that bonding? Because even for the Maldives visitor survey, when I look at it, a lot of guests, these repeater clients, they are saying the first time they came for the nice postcard pictures of the beautiful beaches and the underwater videos and stuff like that. But when they came, they met the people. And the second time, third time, now they are coming back again and again because of the personal relations they have with the people. So what is the psychological reason behind, or the secret behind establishing that bond? What has to be done right to establish that bond?
I think that the key element there is being appreciated in the end as a human need, right? And we tend to notice when that is real or fake. We understand when we are really appreciated, when someone else is taking care of us.
So you mean the humans have the ability to filter fake,
absolutely,
fake and not fake. Even a smile, even a smile, if it is a fake smile or not, the other person can gauge, right?
Definitely. So you were talking about the beaches and the sea and all those beautiful. But I'm sure there are other places with beautiful things to show, right?
Yes.
That might not be the only place in the world. Maybe it's one of the most beautiful ones, but they can find those seascapes and other elements maybe somewhere else. But
Yeah.
what they cannot find is the combination of that seascape and the kindness of the people, just treating them in a very sympathetic way and being just as they are. That combination, I think, that really makes the Maldives really a different and special place for people to come back. So it's not about only one thing. And I think, as you were asking, the thing behind that is that we want to feel appreciated, truly appreciated, being part of something, being part of a family, the sense of belonging. And I think that in the end, that's what really connects, because you can have beaches or seas or, entertainment in a lot of places, but the kindness of the people is not that common. So I think that you have a wonderful differentiator.
Yeah. David, when you told just now about actually a sense of belonging, I was thinking, for example, this is something we talk a lot about. Why people who use Apple products, iPhones, they use only Apple products, and those who are loyal to Samsung, for example, use only Samsung products, or Google products, they use only Google products. Is it also because of a sense of belonging, because they feel when they are owning a Apple product, they are owning something, they are in a class or something like that? Does it have that element in why people choose stay with one brand for a long time?
I think that in many levels it does. I would say that not in the same, sense or in the same proportion for every brand, but definitely when you just connect with a brand and you become a customer in the long run and just continue just being loyal, is because you feel represented by that brand, by that personality that the brand has. So it could be adventurous, it could be technological, it could be, very classy, or it could be whatever it means. So the positioning of the brand definitely connects with your own personality, your expectations, and how would you like to be perceived and how do you perceive yourself. So that connection with the brands, and definitely some brands have more connection than others, maybe because of the communication they manage, the way they have positioned themselves, and how they see the world that really matches what you think about the world. But in the end, yes, I think that a brand is like a person in a certain way, which is telling you things, having a positioning, having a personality, and you can connect with that or not. And in other cases, it is because those brands have an ecosystem that it's a barrier of you cannot go out. If you're an Apple user and if you want to change everything, it's a mess. Or the other way, right? So you are accustomed to use certain things and you don't want to change because the learning curve could be so difficult and take you so long that you are not willing to take that risk. So there could be different reasons, but in the end, yes, I think that we connect with those brands that really represent what we feel and how we see the world.
And in your book, Stop Competing on Price, you talk about how you can, the people who has been in the price war, how can they get out and start making a differentiation? What are the first steps they should take if they find if they catch themselves, an organization, that they are in a price war rather than concentrating on value? What is the first steps they need to take?
I would say that first thing, as we were discussing, 3 words basically: focus, differentiate, communicate. Focus on the right segment, customer, the people that may have the problem you solve, the interest you solve, or really the ones that are willing to pay for your solution. Second, being different or differentiate, which means what can you solve, or is there any different way you can serve the market that not any other competitor is doing, at least at the same level, that you could do differently, serving better a specific segment of the market, and then communicate that in a very clear way so people can really understand what do you solve that others don't and that you are not replacing. I would say that those 3 elements basically are the step-by-step process just to really stop competing on price. And there are other tactics that you could use, like having a second brand, for example. If you are a premium brand that you are having low-priced competitors hitting you, you can just launch a second brand, not to hurt the premium brand and just having a different brand with a lower price to fight other competitors. You can just adjust your prices strategically for regions or for a specific product line or for some specific customers. You don't have to do everything at once, and definitely not for the entire market. You can just a lot of things just to try to handle that. But in the end, you don't win a price war. You survive a price war.
So nobody win a price war, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a continuous fight that will lead everyone to a lower place. Because if you lower your price, your competitor will do the same, and again and again and again. So there will be someone always willing to lower the price more than you. You need to be aware of that. So lowering your price is not the solution. It's not sustainable.
So it's a matter of creating more value, right?
Yeah, instead, definitely.
Yeah. And when you are delivering your keynotes and trainings to the sales teams, you must be trying to actually shift their mind from price to value, right? So what are the techniques, or what is the framework apart from that 3-step process you have mentioned you use when you are speaking to sales executives?
I think that one of the most relevant things here is making them understand what they have in their value proposition that no one else does, and that could be the arrowhead of their communication with their customers. So we train them in understanding the key differentiators of the company, in providing a great experience. But in the end, I would say that when I'm talking to salespeople, yes, definitely the key differentiator is themselves, the person itself. Just you can learn a lot of techniques. You can learn the arguments. You can learn, handling objections. You can have a lot of closing techniques or understanding the needs of your client, a lot of things. But in the end, I am convinced that it's a matter of mindset, having a winning mindset, and really understanding that when you sell, you're not selling, you're helping someone do better, be better, solve something, feel better. So you're not selling, you're helping others, serving, because the sale is the consequence of serving. So when you see sales in that way, it changes everything, because you don't feel that you are pushing people towards something that you might think they don't want to. You are just serving them in a way that could make their lives better or help them achieve something they have been looking for. So it's a change of mindset, I would say, in the end. More than techniques, you can learn techniques. But in the end, if you don't believe in what you sell, people won't believe in what they buy.
I think you have explained this beautifully. Serving and remembering that might not be the first time you're going to serve them, because you want to retain them as customers, right?
Yeah. I mean, serving is, in the end, the main differentiator. If you are in service, no matter what you're selling, people will buy. That's my point. People are not only buying what you sell, but they are buying you as a product. We are products, and even though if you are selling, physical product, you are the salesperson, because you need to gain their trust first, so they can trust the product after that. But in the end, when you serve your customers, they will be there for you.
So it's the matter of bringing, like you mentioned, authenticity and the service and the genuineness into selling even a physical product, right? Then if it is hospitality or something, then it is all about it. But if it is a product, then still you can do serve, right, your customers. That's what you say. David, I think it's been a wonderful chat. But before we wrap up, I think I want to ask some questions regarding how your journey actually resonates with my team. You have come up with this beautiful message and important message, I would say, and keeps on engaging thousands of people around different countries. How do you do that? What is the driver behind that? And how can you believe that can lead you to become unretirable?
I think that finding a higher purpose, makes you unretirable.
Yes.
Because you will never reach the end. It's like when you really have a purpose in your life, and in mine is helping others, really helping their businesses thrive. I want to see more prosperous families, businesses, happy people, just really trusting what they sell or what they do, whatever they are doing. So my purpose is really giving them the tools in a very simple way, dynamic way, entertaining way, if you can call it that way, so they can really do better. Because I think there are a lot of hardworking people that cannot make it sometimes. That person that is really trying hard and hard, but things are not doing the way they would like to. So when you have a higher purpose, I think that your motivation lasts longer. And that's my case. That's my inspiration all the time. Just how can I serve today? What example can I use? What experience can I have just to make people understand that better? What ideas can I give to people so that they can keep moving forward? And that makes me unretireable, I think. And a way to do that is through writing and, of course, speaking, but always trying just to distill the reality into usable lessons, business lessons, maybe. And that's a never-ending process.
Your passion might change over years. We might have changed our passion from, like, as children playing with toys or playing football at school to something else when we are adults, and then now we are passionate about this. How do you keep that going?
I think the most important fuel sometimes is feeling the outcomes or understanding the impact that you can create, and just seeing people doing better, or when you receive some feedback or people telling you, I'm better because of this. Thank you for this. You gave me an idea or something like that. Every time I see that my work is doing good for the people, I just feel that I'm on the right track. But of course, we are not always in that mood. And sometimes I'm not motivated at all. I mean, I'm exhausted or I'm not in the mood, right? But definitely when you reconnect with that in the long run, it keeps you going.
Okay. Thank you, David, very much for being on the show. Is there any last wisdom, last message you'd like to share with our audience?
Defend your value. You're worth it. That's
all
the
right.
point.
I think that's the good quote. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much. Yes. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. David reminded us that competing on price is not really a strategy, because you cannot win a price war, as David mentioned. And it is a signal. It's a signal that we haven't fully articulated that our value to our customers, that we may be forgotten the power of small things, and that we are playing defense when we mean to lead. Actually, as David mentioned, service is the main differentiator, even when we are selling a product. If there's one thing I am walking away today, is you don't win by lowering your prices. You win by raising the clarity of your message, and also by making a difference in your service. Whether you're an entrepreneur trying to stand out in a saturated market, a sales leader navigating through shrinking margins, or a founder rethinking your position, these insights offer a clear and practical forward-looking method. As always, I hope this conversation spark something in you, a new thinking, new inspiration, and a desire to live with value. So until we come back next time, keep showing up with purpose, with passion, and don't forget to be awesome, and don't forget to be unretirable. Thank you.